So every day, each of us makes about 100 decisions, both large and small, that impact not only our health, happiness, and productivity for the day, but make a long-term impact on our health overall and our lifetime satisfaction. Those 100 decisions can be as basic as brushing your teeth so you don't offend anyone, putting on your clothes so you don't startle anyone, drinking coffee so you don't injure anyone, although that one might just apply to me. But oftentimes we don't think about what those decisions do to us over our lifetime. And so instead of thinking of them as just decisions, I want us to think of them as opportunities. So every time you make a decision, both large and small throughout the day, if you keep in mind that larger goal that you have for your life, your health, your happiness, we will tend to make those decisions in a way that is both energizing and overall impactful in our life. My work as a wellness professional takes me all over the country, helping individuals who are at a place in their life where they're struggling. And so this information that is actually gathered by Gallup, they've been doing this since 2008. They interview 500 adults every single day, every day of the week, 365 days a year. And this information they gather, they ask about 5 different areas of their life, areas around well-being. And at the end of that, a calculation is made as to where that person is in their life. And so I keep this in mind all the time when I get up in the morning and I go out and do my work, that although we understand what those words mean, all of us know what it means to suffer. Depression, loneliness, pain, agony, struggling, financial difficulties, issues with your children, problems in your relationships. And we all understand what thriving is. We've all had that experience of being in a place of goodness and bliss, filled with vitality, doing work that is important to us. And these numbers, although it seems wonderful, and if you notice they add up to 101, it's because I'm not exactly a math major. Even though 55% of us are in the thriving category, the numbers are not going in the right direction. Incrementally, more people fall into the suffering and the struggling every week. And I worry about that for the folks that I work with, I worry about that for the people that I love, and I worry about that for myself. So oftentimes I'm working with individuals who are in a place of pain. They just found out they're a type 2 diabetic. They're 50 pounds overweight, or they're 150 pounds overweight. They've struggled with addictions. They can't stop smoking. And they can't figure out how they got to the place that they are in their life. And what I have learned from my own experience and from working with these individuals is that although these are really amazing lyrics for a Talking Heads song, it's actually painful to think that this is where you are in your life. How did I get here? So I want to recommend 3 different strategies that can take us from the place of pain and suffering into a place of thriving. And the first one is the most important, and for some of us it's the most difficult. And it's to give ourselves permission to be first. And the reason that it's difficult for some of us is because of this. Because we think it's selfish to take care of ourselves first. And sometimes I think that as well. I thought that as a person who takes care, we're called the sandwich generation, which is a terrible name. I love sandwiches. It doesn't describe the pain that can actually be responsible. I have 2 teenage sons who I love more than words can say. And I have 2 elderly parents who've been married for 65 years, and I'm the luckiest person on earth because they're the most amazing parents. But recently, my father became ill, and had to be in the hospital for a short stay, and he's the primary caregiver because my mother has some cognitive issues. And so over the course of the 3 days that my father was in the hospital, I spent my time going back and forth to the hospital, dealing with my job that I love, and the needs of my children who were just starting a new school year. One, I was getting off to college. And I thought I was doing a really great job managing all of those things. But in honesty, where I actually was became very obvious as I pulled up to the front of the hospital to bring my mother up to visit my father, and I almost hit someone. This happened just 2 months ago while I was preparing this presentation, and I knew in that moment that all the decisions I had made and the weeks leading up to it had caused me to in a place where I was not only a danger to myself, but to someone else. After I was assured that I had not injured this person in any way, shape, or form, and gave them an opportunity to tell me what they thought about it, I got my mom up to the room with my dad, and my sister arrived, and I said, I need to go home, and I need to sleep for 5 hours. And when I come back, I'll be better able to deal with all of those things. So I went home, I took a shower, I ate something, and I slept solidly for 5 hours, and when I got up, everything got better from that moment forward. So instead of thinking of taking care of yourself first as being selfish, I want you to think of it as a responsibility. I had a moral responsibility to take care of myself because I put myself and others in danger because I didn't. This is why I do everything that I do. These are my sons. And we like to go out into nature. We spend a lot of time out there. And I want to take care of myself for myself so that I can show up filled up with vitality and energy and vigor, really present for them. But I also want to set an example for them. I want to break the cycle of not caring for ourselves first so that we can be present for everyone else. Next is to give ourselves permission to say no. And this can be tough. Knowing what to say no to is a completely different talk, so we're not going to get into that. Just learning to say no is enough of a lesson for most of us. Saying no means we don't have to be Atlas. We are not responsible for every single person in our life. We are responsible primarily for ourselves, and then we have energy and things that we can bring to those people. So we have to safeguard those things that we say yes to. This is what happens when we constantly say yes to everything. We become ill. We become anxious. We become depressed. I see this every day. I can look at the data just as well as anybody else, and I can see the ramifications of taking on too much. I suffered the ramifications of taking on too much. There's one word up there that may strike you as odd to put up there, and that's the word stupid. But stupid is not about my judgment or judging anybody else's behavior. Stupid is a trigger for me that I'm not taking care of myself. When I say something stupid or I do something stupid, it says to me, I have not been taking care of myself. And so to me, that is a trigger that I need to look at what I'm doing and do a better job. So if you have a problem saying no, instead just don't say yes, right? Just don't say yes. Say, I need to think about that. I need to figure out where that belongs in my life, and then I'll get back to you. So I think that that's an important thing to think about. Because if our decisions determine our destiny, and they do, I firmly believe that, then it is important that every decision we make, from the small and the large throughout the day, to who we say yes and who we say no to, is key to making sure that our life's journey is one of happiness and gratitude and bliss and good work within the world. And so I use a simple strategy before I say yes. I love to be outside. I run, I hike, I walk in the outdoors. It is part of my spiritual and psychological practice. And if I have to bring something else into my life, I probably have to give up some of this. And so it makes it easy for me to decide whether I'm going to give up some of this for this other thing. And there are things that we have no choice. We have to bring into our life. But most of what we do, we can make a choice. And so if it happens to help me get on my life's journey in a way that's meaningful and impactful, I'm going to do it. And if it's not, and it's going to interfere with this, it's really easy. We all know what that is for ourselves, and I encourage you to find it for yourself and use it as a way to make your decisions about who and how you say no. And the last is allow yourself and give yourself permission to be imperfect. What is perfection? We all can't be alike. We need to be really comfortable in our imperfection. When my children were young, I remember sitting around the kitchen table with my mother having a conversation, and she's a brilliant woman. It took me until I was 25 to figure that out. And I was complaining. My children were 1 and 3. I'm always tired. The house is a wreck. I always feel like I'm running behind at work. My mom let me run on. When I say that we had a talk, really doesn't describe, it was really just me complaining. And when I had run myself out, I said, "What do you think I should do, Mom?" And she said, "I think your expectations are too high." And I thought, really? They're too high? I thought this was what everybody does. And she said, "I think you just need to think in terms of what's most important to you." And so I go on to list all the things that are most important. She's like, "Too high." And I keep going on, this and this and this, too high. And this goes on for a while. So finally I get frustrated and I said, "I want everyone to make it to bed alive." And she said, "There you go." And I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Everything good that happens on top of that will make it a good day." So be content with your level of imperfection. We all have it. We need to embrace it. It's what the beauty of what we bring to the story, to our communities, to our families, to the people that we love. And finally, forgive. Primarily forgive yourself for your imperfection, for the mistakes that you make, for not focusing on yourself, for saying yes too many times. Forgive yourself. And then forgive those in your life who are asking you to do those things. Just forgive them. Secondly, ask for help. Right? Most of this is about how we fill ourselves up, how we bring vitality and energy and everything good into our life. Places of compassion that we start from for ourselves. But we need to ask for help. I always had a hard time with that. And I've had friends over the years who've taught me to ask for help. And then when you ask for help, those people find it easier to ask for help from you. And finally, let it go. There are things in your life that you will never be able to fix. You'll never be able to change. Just let them go. They are part of the imperfectness of you and your life, and you just need to make peace with that. The last thing I want you to know is that there is magic in giving ourselves permission. All those people in your life who you love, who you spend time and energy, and you care about them deeply. When you give yourself permission, you allow them the opportunity to do the same for themselves. Thank you.